Breaking news, a fiery crash has shut down traffic on the northbound 5 tonight near Grapevine. The CHP says a big rig and as many as 10 cars are involved in the crash at the east runaway truck ramp. That's on the downhill side past Beck. No word yet on any injuries. All lanes are blocked right now on the 5 as crews try to stop the fire from spreading to the hillsides.
That's Waukesha!
Tonight, a woman is explaining to CBS2 why she threw ashes at the LA police chief. The CBS2 team is here, and that new interview is our top story. A grieving aunt says she threw human ashes at LAPD Chief Charlie Beck. CBS2's Rachel Kim is live at LAPD headquarters where the confrontation went down. Rachel.
Well, Pat, something like this has never happened at a police commission meeting before. Well, today's meeting here was canceled after that woman decided to use her niece's ashes to send a message. Today's police commission meeting abruptly came to an end after a woman threw an unknown substance at Chief Charlie Beck. We've slowed it down so you can see the puff of powder in front of him as he was sitting there.
I'm going to ask you to leave the meeting.
I am! That's Waukesha!
Officer.
She's gonna stay with you!
Take her into custody.
That was the voice of Chief Beck saying take her into custody. The woman is Sheila Hines Brim, the aunt of Waukesha Wilson, who died while in police custody 2 years ago. Her death was ruled a suicide, which her family denies. Hines Brim and Melina Abdullah, a leader of the group Black Lives Matter, were detained and booked for battery on a police officer.
You gonna take her in custody?
Meantime, hazmat teams had to come in. They took the substance out of the room and off the chief's suit. Lab tests were going to determine exactly what it was, but there was no need to wait. Several hours later, both women bailed out of jail. Hines Brim told me her niece Waukesha told her to throw the substance at Chief Beck. I then asked her what the substance was.
I heard her clearly tell me I used her ashes so they could be with him, so he can feel her, because he murdered her. They covered it up.
Chief Beck later said in a statement that the incident today only created chaos and fear for those who want to voice their opinion about policing in our city. How did you feel when you were arrested for doing that?
I felt satisfied.
Chief Beck was medically evaluated and was determined to be okay. Now investigators plan on filing charges against the two women with the district attorney's office. Pat, back to you at the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Rachel. Now only on to breaking news tonight of a superhero heist involving the costume that kicked off the Marvel movie Dynasty. CBS2's Crystal Cruz is live in Pacoima where the original Iron Man costume is missing. Crystal.
Hi, Pat. We're talking about a $320,000 costume gone. The LAPD says the business owner told them they last saw the costume in February, and now it's vanished. Well, here is video from the 2008 movie Iron Man, starring Robert Downey Jr. The LAPD confirms the ornate Iron Man costume, including head, chest, legs, and arms, well, it's all gone. The business owners noticed it missing in April. Again, they last saw it in February, and when they looked for it today, they did not find it, and that's when they called 911 to say that it was missing. This very expensive movie prop worth $320,000. Now, a person who works nearby told us this business where the costume was housed is extremely secretive and saw police were out here today. We've also seen security guards around the building, but none of them are talking. Now back out here live with the recent release of the movie Avengers topping the box offices. This could be one reason why someone would want to get their hands on this very expensive piece of movie memorabilia. I'm Crystal Cruz live in Pacoima tonight. I'll send it back to you, Pat, in the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Crystal. Rialto police are defending the way officers handled a misunderstanding involving Airbnb customers. A woman called 911 when she noticed 4 strangers, 3 of whom were black, going into a neighbor's home. The customers believe they were unfairly racially profiled.
It's code black. There's too many black people in one neighborhood.
Do you have your rental agreement at least?
A rental agreement?
For Airbnb?
The attorney for Danisha Prendergast, the granddaughter of Bob Marley, says they may take legal action against the city. But Rialto police say the 22-minute video shows officers acted professionally while they figured out the situation. Force was never used and no one was handcuffed.
I think that's rather unfair judgment, being a long-term resident here. We are a diverse community.
I think that this video really showed the fact that people are too quick to rush the judge, not getting all the facts in first, and they make a good informed decision.
The woman who initially called 911 insists race had nothing to do with the phone call. Now, investigators are looking into hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments that Michael Cohen reportedly got from American companies and a Russian business mogul. CBS 2's Peter Dowd joins us to explain this. Peter?
Pat Daniels' attorney claims tonight that Cohen ran a secret slush fund, taking money from people who wanted to buy influence in the White House and using some of it to pay off people like Daniels who could have affected the election. Why did this Russian oligarch, who has close ties to the Kremlin, make $500,000 worth of payments to President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, shortly after the 2016 election? That's what federal investigators working with special counsel Robert Mueller likely wanted to know when they reportedly questioned Victor Vekselberg recently in New York. Vekselberg reportedly made the payments through his company's U.S. affiliate. And last month, the Trump administration placed him on a list of sanctioned Russians for activities including election interference. The purpose of the payments, which predate the sanctions, remains unclear. But the attorney for Stormy Daniels told CNN the money helped to replenish the account for the shell company Cohen had created to pay Daniels $130,000 to keep quiet about her affair with the president.
It may, in fact, constitute the repayment of the $130,000. We don't know yet.
And that's not the only money Avenatti says Cohen's company received. AT&T confirms it paid Cohen $200,000 between October and January to, quote, provide insights into understanding the new administration. AT&T is currently seeking government approval to merge with Time Warner. Global pharmaceutical giant Novartis paid nearly $400,000 between last October and January. Soon after, the New York Times reports the company's leader was dining with President Trump at a summit in Switzerland. Korea Aerospace Industries paid Cohen $150,000 last November, but declined to comment. The scrutiny of the payments could add to the legal troubles for Cohen, whose home and office were raided last month as part of a criminal investigation by federal prosecutors. Neither he nor his attorney have responded. Pat?
All right, thank you, Peter. Now, the top 6 candidates for California governor took the stage for the first and last time together tonight ahead of next month's primary. One of the top issues, immigration.
The first rule of federal law is to protect the borders and protect us from people who would do us harm.
Let me be very clear. The problem has been created by an open border policy of the California Democrats.
Look, one thing I'm going to do is push back against John Cox, Travis Allen, and Donald Trump and Trumpism.
The only woman on the stage, Democrat Delane Easton, has trailed in the polls, but she got some of the biggest applause of the night when asked about the Me Too movement.
It is inappropriate for any boss in any business or any government agency to make passes at women that work for them. And when that happens, it ought to be given a shout out.
The top 2 vote getters in the June 5th primary will make the November ballot regardless of party. Now, Mayor Eric Garcetti has a big decision to make. Who will take over the LAPD when Chief Charlie Beck steps down next month? The LA Times reports the shortlist includes Bill Scott, Robert Arcos, and Michael Moore. Union leaders say whoever gets the job must address the issue of morale.
Morale is a huge issue. Throughout the country, there has been an increased scrutiny on what police officers do. 9 times out of 10, we do the right thing. Sometimes mistakes are made, but when those mistakes are made, we expect a chief to be fair with discipline.
Bill Scott is currently San Francisco's police chief after putting in 27 years with the LAPD. Both Moore and Arcos still hold high-ranking positions in the force. Uber unveiled its future of transportation today at the Skirball Center. The ride-sharing company showed off mock-ups of vertical takeoff and landing aircrafts, or VTOL for short. This aircraft doesn't need a runway, so it can take off from existing buildings. Uber plans to start demo flights in 2020 and commercial trips in 2023. A dangerous health fad is making a resurgence, forcing poison control to issue a bizarre warning. Don't drink hydrogen peroxide. CBS 2 Orange County reporter Stacy Butler explains why.
Facebook, a few people, my little brother told me about it too. All these kids, try different things.
One glance on YouTube and you can see the countless claims professing the curative power of hydrogen peroxide for headaches, allergies, Alzheimer's, or HIV.
So you take this food grade hydrogen peroxide.
They're not talking about pouring the 3% concentrate we all see in the pharmacy on a wound, but drinking it in doses 10 times as strong.
Hydrogen peroxide, even a small amount, just enough to take a sip, can release hundreds of milliliters or liters of oxygen in the human body. If you were to ingest hydrogen peroxide, that air can get into the blood vessels and gravity rises it to the top, can go to your brain and your heart and your lungs.
Dr. Ahmed Al-Rafai says hydrogen peroxide can cause confusion, strokes, heart attacks, clots in the lungs.
People come up with such crazy things for cures, and sadly enough, people would believe it.
But according to California Poison Control, so many people are drinking food-grade hydrogen peroxide, they say they've been inundated with calls. Some say they've burned their esophagus. Others have reported seizures, strokes, and heart attacks. Some either died or suffered long-term disability.
Verify with a medical professional first, and maybe not with their friends, and maybe not with a Google search, before they do anything that could cause harm to their body or to their loved ones.
If you have any concerns, you're urged to go to your primary care physician. The hydrogen peroxide can stay in your system for up to 25 hours after you ingest it. In Santa Ana, Stacy Butler, CBS 2 News.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in North Korea for meetings ahead of President Trump's summit with Kim Jong-un. This is Pompeo's second visit to the country. President Trump says the date of his planned meeting with Kim Jong-un is set, but has not revealed when or where it will happen. The Iranian president says his country will keep working with other nations who signed the Iran nuclear deal after President Trump announced he's pulling the U.S. out of the 2015 agreement. The president called the deal horrible and one-sided and said he will initiate new sanctions. Now, shortly after the announcement, Israel's military struck a Syrian military outpost near Damascus. The attack reportedly killed 9 pro-Syrian fighters. Airstrikes like this have become more frequent as tensions soar between Israel and Iran. LA has some of the worst roads in the nation. We know that, but a David Goldstein investigation has found the city's new $1 million street paver has barely been used on the streets. But David is here to tell us it's being used by a homeless man who's living underneath it, David?
Yeah, that shows just how little it's being used. Now, taxpayers funded this new state-of-the-art street paving machine. It's able to rip up asphalt, recycle it, and repave the street. It all sounds great, that is, if it was being used. This brand new $1 million paving machine can fix some of the broken streets of Los Angeles. But we found it so rarely used, a homeless man is now living underneath it. A $1.3 million house that you paid for.
Wasted space, wasted time, wasted money.
Martha, who didn't want to give her last name, pointed out the pavement problems where she lives on Plymouth Boulevard in Mid-Wilshire. And the bumps.
This bump is awful.
She and others we told about the $1 million paver wonder why their street is still in disrepair, while the paving machine is now a home for the homeless.
I feel bad because why didn't use it?
The machine is called a cold recycler. This is what it's supposed to do: repave streets, recycle the asphalt, saving the city money. We obtained this city purchase order, which showed taxpayers shelled out more than $1.3 million to buy it. City logs show it went into service June 16th of last year, but has only been used 51 hours in the 10 months up to this April, including just 5 hours this year. It seems the city may be going to great lengths to keep this $1 million piece of equipment hidden. They have tarps that line the fence so you can't see through on the lot where it's being parked here in Van Nuys. The only way you know it's a city lot, this no trespassing sign way up high, but even from that height, you can't see the machine. The only way we saw it was from Sky 2, with the homeless man who appeared to be wearing an electronic monitoring ankle bracelet. I'm David Goldstein with CBS 2. When we showed up the next day, someone from the city was unlocking the gate. You know there's a guy living underneath that?
I'm going to check it out right now.
He went in to check, but wouldn't let us follow. When he came back, he said he didn't see anything.
How does a homeless guy sleep under a $1.3 million piece of equipment?
I have no idea, sir. There's no homeless here right now.
But it seems there was a big hole in the fence where someone could get in. And sure enough, later that afternoon,
coming home from a hard day's work,
CBS 2's Stu Mundell, high above in Sky 2, saw the man coming home.
I'd know that beard anywhere.
He walked across what's become his front yard and ducked underneath his taxpayer-funded home.
You got to be kidding me.
We showed the video to political watchdog Jack Humphreyville, who called the paver a waste of money.
It's the new toy of the day. We need to have this and we need to do that. They put together a memo that justifies this, but you know, all the assumptions are bogus.
Eric Garcetti. In his State of the City address last month, Mayor Garcetti touted his paving projects.
We have paved 11,000 miles of road.
But we showed him his new paver.
This thing cost $1.3 million. Yes. And it's been used 5 hours this year, 51 hours since it's been in service. Is that good use of taxpayer money?
It'll completely pay for itself, even at this rate, in 3 to 4 years.
The mayor says the machine will reduce costs by about a third once it gets going. And right now it's still in the testing stages. That's why he says it's sitting practically idle for 10 months.
You have to wonder what the hell is going on. How come it's not being used, man?
Now, while the mayor claims they are testing the paver, we found it replaced an older model that was only used 4 hours in the last 2 years. City officials said that one was obsolete, but it seems this new one isn't faring much better, Pat.
It does seem that way. Do we know the name of the homeless gentleman? Did you get
No,
to
and
talk
we
to
don't
him?
know what happened with him. The mayor said he was going to try to work with someone to see what they can do about that.
All right, just asking. All right, always a pleasure and an eye-opener from you, David. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Well, Garth, I mean, at least the weather was nice outside,
yeah,
right?
They probably paved over the dude.
Oh, now let's hope not.
Just saying.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
know.
Dave gets the coolest stuff. I love it.
Let's hope not.
All right, everybody. I'm kidding. Come on. We're over downtown Los Angeles now. We're pretty clear out there this evening. Listen, we're going to pick up a little bit of marine layer. Kind of quiet out by the pier late this evening. It is a pretty night out by the beach, though. 61 degrees. West winds at 3. We're averaging right now upper 50s, low 60s. A lot of areas not reporting it. We're having a little bit of a technical issue, but I know that's what we're averaging right now. 76 is what we hit for today. Couple of degrees above normal, which is 74 degrees. Listen, we're dealing with some wind advisories. Pat, these are onshore winds that are developing Santa Barbara out towards Fraser Park area, up by Gorman, down towards Castaic, LA County Mountains, and up towards the Antelope Valley through the evening hours. 40, 45, 50 mile an hour winds possibly to come our way. So the marine layer is going to creep back in. It kind of hung tight along the beaches. You can see by late tonight, early tomorrow morning. It gets patchy at best, and then it starts to fill in by about 5 o'clock. Some other clouds just spilling through at the mid-levels there. And that's what I think we're going to watch for us through tomorrow. You can see it's fairly extensive. By 9 o'clock, it encompasses all the way down for our friends in the OC, up into Ventura County as well, before we start to burn probably about the same that we saw today. I think as we get towards the weekend, though, we're going to really begin to thicken things up as the high pressure starts to ease off the gas. The little low pressure area starts to move towards us. And what that's going to do is really just start to increase the onshore push as we get towards Mother's Day and the weekend and cool things back down. We should get back to normal, but we'll get into that May pattern where we get a lot of marine layer coming our way and slow clearing days. So tomorrow and Thursday, real similar. You can see the bigger drop as we start to go to Friday for the beaches. For downtown, 78 tomorrow. Valleys, 88, 84 on Thursday. Then we drop into the 70s. Mother's Day, like I said, looking pretty good for the Inland Empire, 90. High deserts, 91. Still hot tomorrow. Watch your pets. Mountains coming in at 81. We'll see those winds blow again as we get to Friday. Pat, have a good evening.
All right, Garth, like that forecast. Well, tonight, NCIS said goodbye to one of the show's most beloved characters. Pauley Perrette is leaving the show after 15 years and hundreds of episodes playing Abby, the goth and happy-go-lucky forensic scientist. But Perrette has made sure that Abby will not be forgotten. She set up a scholarship fund for people who want to pursue forensic science.
There will be actual young people out there who will get their degree in forensic science due to the Pauley Perrette Scholarship Fund in honor of Abby. In that case, she will live forever.
Pauley says she will spend more time with her dogs and pursue other acting opportunities. Love you, Pauley. Well, it is a great month for shopping, and we'll reveal which appliances and big-ticket items have the best deals going in May. Plus, the Dodgers looking to pick up ground in the NL West with the Diamondbacks in town. Jim Hill has the highlights just ahead in sports. And here's a look at the guests tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And the Disneyland Resort is celebrating Pixar Fest. Be sure to watch CBS2 News from 4:30 to 7 tomorrow morning. We'll tell you your secret code word so you can enter to win a 4-pack of tickets.